How's everyone doing today? Got another video, and this time we're going to be covering the 5 most common myths for fat loss. Now, most of you have probably heard of at least one of these myths, or perhaps some of you right now are trying out some of these in order to lose fat and you're not seeing any results. If that's the case, I got you covered. I'm going to bust these 5 myths, and I'm going to use studies to back up everything that I'm saying for each one. By the way, those are going to be referenced in the description box below. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button for all of your fitness content. I have big plans for the channel, as you should know by now. If you are a subscriber, go ahead and smash that like button if you enjoyed the video and if this helped you out. All right, with that being said, we're gonna dive in to the first myth. The first myth for fat loss, and the most common by far, is you have to jump on low carb diets, such as the Atkins diets. Now, these are extremely popular, and it's really just from the marketing. Now, let me explain. The composition of your diet when it comes to macronutrients, meaning your carbohydrates, your fats, your proteins, may not actually directly impact fat loss, because the main ingredient to losing fat is energy balance, all right? So your total amount of volume consumed throughout the day is going to directly impact your weight loss, not necessarily how many carbs, proteins, or fats you're eating. Now, one thing is that by eating low carb diets or suggesting somebody cut the carbs, that's generally going to actually put you in a caloric deficit without you realizing. So most people will actually make up for their lack of carbs now in their diet with higher fat foods and higher protein. Combining the two, that's actually gonna put your calories back up to maintenance, which will prevent fat loss. Now, a study that I've linked down below for the first myth here was done in 2004, and it was done on actually the low carb Atkins diet. It has shown the potential for decrease in fat over the first 6-month period on average, all right? Now, that is, again, potential, and it will also show that after 12 months, those same people have actually either gained the weight back or have stayed stagnant and have not been able to lose any weight further from there. It has shown that the overall conclusion to this study is that low carb diets, such as the Atkins diet, will actually prevent adherence or make it very hard for people to adhere to those diets. In other words, and this may sound familiar, you start a low carb diet, it lasts a week or a couple days, maybe 2 weeks. Either way, you quit pretty quick before you see any significant results, and you either relapse, gain all the weight back, or you're just stuck at that weight. So if that sounds familiar and you're on one of those diets right now, you might be sabotaging your gains, or in this case, your losses, because low carbs is gonna be hard for you to actually adhere to, and without realizing, you're making up for that loss in calories by eating more fats, more proteins, stuff like that. So keep that in mind. You know, the overall energy balance is gonna be the main factor into you losing weight, not necessarily cutting the carbs. Myth number 2 is you have to work out more. Now, there are people that are working out 5 to 7 times a week even, and are still not noticing fat loss, even though that's what their main goal is. Now, a big reason for this is because since people work out more, which this kind of is a second myth that's tied into this one, but people think that you can eat more since you're burning more. And obviously this is just going to tie into the first point, the first myth that I busted, in bringing your calories back up to a maintenance level. Okay, so you can work out all you want. If your diet, and you've heard this many times before, you cannot out-train a bad diet, and that could not be any more true. Another problem with this is that exercise is actually harder to track than food is. So if you want to take the simple approach, tracking your food, lessening the amount that you eat on a daily basis will actually be a lot easier, a lot more simple to do than to actually try and track the amount of calories that you're burning or just arbitrarily work out more. So a study that I linked down below to support the fact that working out harder does not necessarily induce fat loss to a significant degree, I've got that link below. That's gonna show you a study that was done on people that were training for a marathon. It was a 20-week training phase for this upcoming marathon, and obviously there's an insane amount of running being done, an insane amount of working out in those 20 weeks. And on average, this is between men and women conducted in the study, on average, people lost about 1.6 ounces of body fat a week. Now, for an average person, this is not nearly significant enough for you to actually notice a difference, whether it's on the scale or visually. Therefore, there's not gonna be much motivation to continue with it. and you're gonna have to look for other methods, or you're just gonna resort to the whole, oh, I work out harder, but I don't know what's going on. All right, so keep that in mind. That's myth number 2, busted. Let's move on, myth number 3. So myth number 3, again, very common, eat more protein. So as opposed to the first myth there that we were talking about eating less of a macronutrient, now we're introducing eating more of a macronutrient. Now there is some evidence behind this in the sense that, and this is linked in the study that I've put for this myth down below, eating more protein, a higher protein diet as opposed to a lower protein diet with the same amount of calories overall, the higher protein diet will actually cause you to burn a little bit more calories throughout the day. However, it's not much of a significant amount. If you look at the study, it'll be somewhere between 1 and 200 extra calories a day being burnt. However, the total amount of fat loss is not changed. There's no specific direct correlation to fat loss just from consuming more protein. So this goes back to the first myth, but composition of your diet will not directly affect your fat loss. That is overall energy expenditure. That study was done in 2012, so it's very recent, and there's been inconclusive studies to all of those since the dates of the studies that I've gotten. Now this one also suggests that lean body mass will be retained a lot better when eating a higher protein diet than a low protein diet. This makes sense, of course. However, once again, it does not directly correlate with fat loss, okay? So you could be sitting on the couch all day, one person's eating the same amount of calories as the other. Let's take the same person sitting on the couch. One person's eating higher protein, the other person's eating lower protein, but the total amount of calories are the same. The person with higher protein might be burning a couple more calories here and there throughout the day, and they might retain more body mass, which is actually a direct correlation between the two. Their fat loss will remain the same. Perhaps that second person eating higher protein will lose fat over the long term, since that small increase in calories burned throughout the day will only add up in a matter of months, maybe a year, something like that. In the short term, or in the amount of time that you're looking to see results, no, eating more protein alone will not cause fat loss. 3, busted. Let's move. Number 4, eating smaller meals more frequently. Let me break it down like this. If you're eating 3 meals a day and they total 3,500 calories, if you break that up into 6 meals a day and you're still eating 3,500 calories throughout the day, guess where your fat loss is gonna go? Nowhere. All right, so that's a big mistake. Now people have said, well, it increases your metabolism, and the study that I've linked down below for this one is from the British Journal of Nutrition, published a study that was recorded. Meal frequency has shown to increase thermic effect in the body slightly, because of eating food does create a slight thermic increase in your body. However, when it comes to affecting your total energy expenditure throughout the day, it is inconclusive. And again, no research has been found to be conclusive on the other side of that since this study was published. So to sum it all up, eating more frequent meals throughout the day does not make much of a difference. You can eat 1 meal a day, and if it's lower calories than you need to burn, then you will lose weight. If you eat 10 meals a day, but they are higher calories, then of course you are going to gain weight. And the opposite is true as well. If you eat 1 meal a day and it's so big that you go over your calories, you're gonna gain weight. If you eat 10 meals a day and overall all those 10 meals are below your calories, then you will lose weight. On to the 5th and final myth. 5th and final myth, that is one you've always heard as well: drink more water. Now this one actually seems kind of silly when you think about it. You step back and you say, really, drink more water? It's that simple? Pretty sure everybody would be fit in that case, right? Well, let's put it this way. Water is definitely essential. Now, of course, I'm not saying with any of these myths, don't do this. The main thing you want to do is track your calories and figure out what works for you. However, when it comes to water, everybody should be drinking an adequate amount of water. Okay, the daily recommendation is 8 to 12 glasses, depending on your size, of course. Water is essential for the bodily functions to make those go smoothly. And if you're dehydrated, your metabolism could slow slightly, which will only increase weight gain. But if you're hydrated appropriately, the difference between the two in the amount of calories burned through a slowing or increase of the metabolism throughout the day is so minimal, you will not see significant results, if any at all. The study that I published down below was actually a very recent study done, I guess because this myth has become quite popular in recent years. but it was done in 2014 in the University of Alabama. Go ahead and check it out if you'd like, but I can sum it up for you. They basically laugh at the idea that water or increasing your intake of water will help with weight loss. Of course, there's no direct relationship with energy expenditure and water intake, and water is essential. As mentioned, 55 to 75% of your whole body is water, and most of the foods you consume are water. So obviously you want to drink water to feel better and to be healthier. However, it's not going to directly affect your body composition. That's it for the 5 myths. I hope I was able to educate some of you. And if you are somebody that was sucked into one of these myths recently and have not seen results, don't worry. In an upcoming video, I'm going to have the 5 best ways to induce fat loss, all right? Those are gonna be proven by science as well. Mostly, go ahead and try this out for yourself if you'd like. Type in how to lose weight on Google, and the top 10 things that come up, I can almost guarantee have actually nothing to do with losing weight. That being said, I'm gonna come out with science-based stuff on the next video to back up everything I'm saying and to manipulate the factors that are gonna help you with your energy expenditure, your lifestyle, your habits, to actually help you lose fat, not just weight, but fat. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, share with all your friends, because a lot of people may want this video to educate themselves a little bit more. And that being said, please subscribe to the channel for more and all of your fitness content coming here. Like I said, big plans for the channel. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.